Now, I'm not saying that deer, bucks, mature bucks are never on your property outside of the hunting season. That's not the point of this video. The point is, though, that the majority of time, we're really gearing, especially small properties, and I'm even talking properties as large as several hundred acres. You really don't have enough, even on 500 acres, even 1,000 acres most of the time, to tell a deer herd, I'm gonna feed you, I'm gonna give you cover, I'm gonna have good cover, and no one around us is gonna compete with that, and you're gonna stay on this 1,000 acre parcel or 800 acre parcel or 500, let alone 100 or 40 acre parcel, 365. It just doesn't happen. So everything you do should be geared towards the hunting season. If you look at does and fawns, they're pretty resilient to hunting pressure. They'll just move away. We have a bedding area we're out in here right now, and we're gonna have a stand location on the back side of this bedding area. Put a mock scrape here. Been getting great activity here. And we're out here towards the end of January walking around, and this is a bedding area. Does and fawns are here. We have a picture of our video of Junior coming in here. But this is not a spot that I feel like it matters at all if we come in here and spook them out. We care more about the hunting season. So during the hunting season, does, fawns, we can push them around here in the off season. They'll come back. Even if we happen to spook one out, or does and fawns that were back in here during the season coming into a stand, I don't care as much about that. It's gonna spook them out, maybe a week or two, they'll start to fall back, and we even see that in our cameras in the off season, which is kind of nice if you do spook deer, kind of gauge that, look at your cameras, and so we have a camera right here and say, when do they come back? I would say here it takes at least a week for them to come back. But bottom line is, bucks on the other hand, and these does will be here all the time. They can lose a little bit of cover or quality of cover depending on the season. They can lose a little bit of quality of food. They'll be resilient more and stick here. Mature bucks, because of their larger home range, they're gone. And of course, what I talk about all the time is their cover and food needs during the summer is drastically different than the fall. Some properties have it all, very few have it all. We don't have it all out here other than the surrounding supporting ag fields that we have. So we have alfalfa around us that holds some bucks during the summer that we would see in the fall. But most of the time when you're talking about your own property, mature bucks need open cover during the summer. They need summer food. Then in the fall, they're willing, because of their larger home range, to travel a long ways to find quality food that is unpressured. That's why you can set your property to suck in a lot of mature bucks in a small area. And when you have small fragmented parcels, I'm talking about fragmented meaning there's ag land, schoolyard, a golf course, subdivisions, open fields where they can't hold deer during the daylight. Things are more confined. Most of the studies for buck movement are done on large wooded, full cover areas where deer can travel everywhere within there, especially a mature buck with a larger home range, and they'll move all over the place, and their home range is a lot larger during the daylight. However, when parcels become confined, meaning swamps, again, ag land, schools, subdivisions, roads, open fields where they can't hold deer, then we find that mature bucks really tighten in their home movement, and they really want to have that fall food, fall cover that a lot of times lasts into the winter time. And when we're out here spooking those deer during the off season, who cares? Let me repeat that. From the day the season ends, we're out here on our property working and planning and strategizing. That's why we shoot such a high percentage of the area largest and oldest bucks in the fall, because we get to know our land. We're out scouting on it. We like to plan. We like to come out here and do work, whether it's chainsawing, keeping our roads open, going for a family drive. We do that all the time. And if we're bumping those bucks, and it's a different story. I repeat this often. You know, we're here in Minnesota, they have sharpshooters. We don't think we have any within a couple miles of here. And that's always a concern if you're out pushing deer and they go a couple miles away on a corn pile and get shot mid-February under the cover of darkness with guns and suppressors on them that you don't even know about. That is a problem in some areas. But out here, we don't have that to worry about. We can push bucks off, miss their shed antlers, but the risk reward of us learning so much more information about these deer. You know, there's people that stay off their land almost 365. They stay off their land for 9 months out of the year other than going in for hunting. Very poor technique, very poor strategy, because you don't get to know your parcel, you don't get to know the land. And when you're out here with the thought that mature bucks need completely different habitat, especially during the spring and summer than they do in the fall, then you're waiting and building your property for a certain time, and in that off season, during the rest of the time, those bucks just aren't there. They're two different time frames, especially when it comes to mature bucks, especially becomes the bucks when they become older and they get really regimented into exactly where they stay during the daylight. Those home ranges are very small. Discount the scientific information that would show mature buck ranges being very large, because they're done in big, expansive, brokenless cover habitat, big woodlots, big national forests, state forests, commercial forestry, tens of thousands of acres. That doesn't apply to your small parcel, where if deer cross fence boundaries, they get shot. Think about that. Every fence they cross, the chances of them dying increases exponentially. So how do bucks in an area like this, where there's fragmented parcels, become 5-6 years old? Because the older they become, they find very small daylight areas that keep them safe, and that's where that core area during the fall time. During the fall and hunting season, those bucks have to have good food, good cover. People even say, well, I have great cover, all my neighbors have food. Well, now you put the deer on the neighbors every afternoon. I want to have good food on my own land. There is the exception, 5-acre pass-through parcels, 8-acre, 10 acres, but even then you could have little hunting plots of an 8th acre, 10th acre on the plot to help at least steer deer when they come on your property, maybe even a water hole still. It's not all about just cover, but especially when the land becomes 30, 40, 50 acres, if you don't have quality food during the fall, you're really missing out. The summer, it doesn't matter at all unless you're trying to build a herd. So when do you stay off the parcel? We're on it all the way up until about 3 to 4 weeks before the season. We're also planting our food plots at that time. When the food plots are planted, those are some of the last activities on the property. Then it's all hunting all the time. We're not out here. Let your property be the most remote, the most unpressured during hunting season. And it's funny because a lot of people say, well, I'm going to stay off my property in the off season and not spook deer. But then they overpressure their food plots, their stand locations, their water holes, their access routes during the hunting season. Think about it to the deer. These people are staying off the land the rest of the year. The deer, if they are around, they get used to, hey, there's no people here. And then all of a sudden, when you do have people, it's during the hunting season when you're trying to build a herd, advance bucks to the next age class, and actually shoot and hunt. So this time of year, incredible time to get out. And I would say even for some of these late January hunting states or into February, if no one around you is hunting and you're done hunting, who cares if it's during the season? The real risk of going on our property is pushing deer to someone else. Always think about during the hunting season as being the time when you need your property to be the least pressured, not during the off season. So many people flip that around and they confuse. You want to shoot big bucks on your land, get to know your land, work on your land, and don't worry about it other than finding some antlers or sheds and spooking those bucks off. Don't worry about spooking deer on your property outside of the hunting season. We're out here just about the day after the season ends, and then we go all the way till about 3 to 4 weeks before the season begins. This is a great time to be on your property, and hunting season is the time where you want those deer to feel like this entire property is their own. Now, I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, our WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there, and then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things, and this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.